your right hand. You solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the responses and materials you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You may put your hand down. Mr. De Hoyos, before we continue further, I will share with you at least 5 very important constitutional rights and protections that you have in any criminal proceeding. The first one, you have the right to remain silent. That means that you don't have to make any kind of statement. You don't have to answer any questions. You don't have to submit written paperwork that has your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. That's called the right to remain silent. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to a jury trial. That means that you and your attorney and the state's attorneys would select 6 people from what's called a jury panel or a jury pool of disinterested random people selected for the purpose of serving on the jury. They would hear all the evidence, the testimony, see everything that's going on, and then they would decide whether you're guilty or not guilty. That's the right to a jury trial. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have a right to confront any witnesses. That means basically it's called facing your accusers. What that means is that you and your attorney could question, challenge, cross-examine any witness who testifies. That's called the right to confront witnesses. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's also a right called the right to appeal. That means that you, yourself, your attorney by himself, or the 2 of you together, after all the dust settles and everything is over, you could demand that a higher court review the official record in this proceeding, the evidence, the testimony, everything, for whatever challenge you wanted to make, legal challenge. Now, you'd have to follow the procedures where you use the right papers and the right time limits, obey them. That's essentially what's called the right to appeal. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Finally, you and the state have what's called an individual right to demand that this proceeding be held in the open public courtroom. Each of you has their own separate right to do that. Because of the COVID pandemic, we're not doing the open public courtroom proceeding where everybody's in there, everything happens in the courtroom. Instead, we're doing it by video conference. Now, it is being streamed on YouTube, so it is public in the sense that everybody in the world can tune into YouTube, see everything, and hear everything. But you need to understand that it does not comply with the constitutional requirement for an open public courtroom. To do this, you have to consent to participate by video conference. You understand you have that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so does the state. So those are the 5 things I wanted to discuss with you. Now, I'm going to show you the documents in this proceeding. Those documents are all going to be part of the official record. By the way, the official record being prepared by Ms. Kayleen Rivera. She is a certified stenographic reporter or court reporter, generally we'd call. In your case, at the top of each document, with one exception, is going to have what I call identifying information.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I apologize for interrupting. I just need permission from Patty to share the documents.
All right.
Unless she's
Please.
going to share them.
Alrighty. Well, let's see them. The documents will have the identifying information, case number, court number, your name. And those documents will be below that identifying information. The documents will have an identifying title. That title will be in all capitals in bold print. Now, somebody needs to get muted, I think. in this case, the very first document you're looking at, you see the identifying information, case number 614783, the state of Texas versus Rodolfo A. de Hoyos,
Yes,
in
sir.
County Court of Law number 5, Bexar County, Texas. The title of this first document is State's Consent to Video Conference. Did you review all these documents? Mr. de Hoyos?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. This first one is where the state agrees to video conference. It's signed by Ms. Caitlin C. Morgan for the state. The second document is called a discovery acknowledgement. That one starts off at the top with the identifying information, same as before. This one, the very first line talks about a particular law, Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. The Texas law says that the prosecutors must share with you and acknowledge all the materials, receipts, documents, videos, whatever there is that that gives you complete information and allows you to make a informed decision. This is signed by your lawyer and the state's lawyer. They're saying, yes, this law has been obeyed. You understand that?
Yes, I understand.
The next document is your document where you agree to video conference instead of the open courtroom. There it is. Defendant's consent to video conference. Did you sign that document?
Yes, sir.
You understood what it said?
Yes, I did.
All right. The next document is called Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. Once again, it starts off with the identifying information, then the title, as I have read to you. This particular document has 3 sentences at the top that are separated, and then it's divided into 15 numbered parts or divisions. I want you to read the third sentence at the top that says, in this cause I hereby. Can you read that?
Enter a plea of no local injury to following allegations that 100 to 750.
All right. You understood that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the 15 numbered sections after that, did you review those with your attorney?
Yes, sir, we did.
All right. Now, number 1 is the range of punishment. It tells you what kind of punishment you can get for this particular crime. There are a stack of vertical boxes. There's only one that's check marked, and it says Class B. What is the range of punishment according to this thing?
0 to 2,000 fine and 0 to 180 days in jail, sir.
There you go. That is the range of punishment that you're subject to. Now, where were you born, sir?
Excuse me?
Where were you born?
In San Antonio.
All right. The papers, the record will reflect that you are a U.S. citizen. I want to remind you of a couple of things. First of all, the deal that you and your attorney have made with the state, it is not binding on me. It is purely up to me whether I say yes or no, and I'm required, in order for this deal to be completed, I'm required to say yes or reject it and say no. I can also give you any punishment in the range that you yourself read for me. I can give you any punishment even if it's higher or heavier than what you agreed to.
I understand.
If I reject your deal or give you a heavier punishment, the law would allow you to start all over again, and nothing that you've said or anything that you've signed would be used against you in that event. Is that clear?
I understand.
All right, the document you're looking at right now, again, repeats the identifying information. This one is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. There is a stack of vertical boxes. After each box, there is a declaration concerning the right to appeal. The 5th box from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it says, and I personally, as a judge, I certify that this case is a plea bargain case and the defendant has no right of appeal. Did you see and understand that?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Garcia, did you review all of this document, this and the others, with your client? Rolando Garcia. Rolando.
Yes, Your Honor.
Garcia.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Garcia, carefully review all of these documents with your client.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you review the application for deferred adjudication that's present on your screen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. De Hoyos, deferred
Yes, sir.
adjudication is a very beneficial form of probation that Mr. Garcia has gotten for you. First of all, you're going to plead nolo contendere, which this court takes as a guilty plea, and that plea is sufficient for me to convict you. Are you aware of that? Do you understand that?
I understand.
All right. Because there is an agreement for deferred adjudication, and I will honor that agreement, I will not find you guilty at this time. I will defer that. In other words, I will postpone making that finding. If you live up to 100%, and I want you to hear that, if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the case will be closed and you are not convicted of this charge, which is very, very important. If you screw up, you fail or refuse to live up to every one of the conditions 100%, then the state can ask me to bring you in for a hearing after official notice, hear the evidence, and if the evidence in my mind is sufficient, I can go ahead and find you guilty of conviction that would follow you the rest of your life. Theft is a bad thing to be convicted of. I don't care what happens. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
All right. Now, the conditions of supervision, I've told you several times, you got to follow 100%. They will be read to you. You will sign them, and they will put a copy in your hands. Is that clear?
I understand, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any questions about deferred adjudication?
No, Your Honor.
If we wind up entering a conviction on you, then you're looking at the full range of punishment. $0 to $2,000 fine and jail from 0 days to 180 days. That would be on the table. Understood?
I understand.
All right. The personal data sheet, did you put only true and accurate information in there?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been unemployed?
Oh, I'm employed now.
What are you doing?
Handyman work.
And what is your income?
About about $3,000 a month.
3 grand what?
$3,000 a month.
Alrighty. 3,000 a month. All right, very good. I need you to fill out the rest of this form that doesn't show your employer, the address, etc. Doesn't show 3 witnesses or references that will always know where to find you.
That's fine.
That has to be filled out. Now,
Okay.
are you married, single, or divorced?
Single.
Do you have any children that you have to support?
Yes.
How many?
2.
And what are their ages?
About 9 and 13.
Okay. All right, and vehicle, what are you driving?
No, I don't have one right now, sir.
I'm sorry, say again?
I'm with the company truck right
Do you take that home at night?
now. No, sir.
All right, how do you get back and forth to work?
My girlfriend and my relatives.
All right. Go ahead and scroll, please. The next document I'm going to show you. Did you serve in the military?
No, sir.
All right, the document that's now being set up right in front of you there, you can see what it says. It's plea agreement. It's got your name and the case number. The first 2 boxes you see right there will be marked. The first one talks about, guess what? That you have the right to remain silent, and that's been discussed and explained.
I
The
understand.
second one will reflect that you are a U.S. citizen.
Mhm.
The next section says defendant's acknowledgements. Roland Garcia, Rolando, and Mr. Uh, let's see, De Hoyos. Sorry about that.
It's fine.
Did you read over this section here with these 5 boxes that are check marked?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. De Hoyos,
Yes,
did
sir.
you know what all of
Okay.
this said?
Yes, sir. I understand.
All right. Go ahead, scroll, please. This section here tells you what you're charged with. It repeats it.
I understand.
Theft 100 to 750, and then it says, what is your official plea here and now?
No lo contendere.
Very good. As I told you before, that's considered a guilty plea in this court.
Yes, sir.
All right, I order you to appear within 7 days of today in the offices of this County Court of Law number 5, so that your thumbprint can be placed on the paperwork as required by law.
All right.
Understand that I'm requiring you to do that.
Yes, sir.
All right, based on the plea of nolo contendere and the evidence, I find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not find you guilty. I am granting you deferred adjudication for a term of 9 months in accordance with the agreement that's been made on your behalf. You are fined $500. You will perform 24 hours of community service restitution. You will participate in and complete in good faith the anti-theft program. It's ATSE, it's called. Scroll, please. Your supervisory fee, let me see. I'm going to make that $38 a month. Now, do you have any prior history of theft, Mr. Goyos?
No, sir.
This makes it much more critical that you complete your deferred adjudication. If you wind up with a conviction for on this case, that makes you publicly a thief.
Yeah, I understand.
It's called a crime involving moral turpitude. Nobody, even McDonald's or Wendy's, wants to hire somebody that has a record of being a thief. They can't trust you. Mr. Garcia has protected you in getting you deferred adjudication. It's up to you now to live through it and get it done so that you don't have a conviction for theft.
I understand, Your Honor.
I hope you do, because it's very important. It'll really mess you up if you don't live up to the conditions. All right, now, when we get through momentarily, there's a young lady named Maricela Luna. She's what's called a court liaison officer. She is going to visit with you and give you the instructions and information you need regarding probation, the deferred adjudication. At this time, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Rolando Garcia, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Caitlin Morgan, any questions?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right, then y'all are excused with the exception that Mr. Doyos has to meet with Maricela Luna right now, and don't forget you're ordered to appear within 7 days. You need to finish filling out the forms and put your thumbprint on the right ones.
I got
You're
you.
excused.